Standard deviation is found by determining how much each data item differs from the mean. So, to do this, we have the following data sets: 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. We will now take the first step. So our equation to start off with is the standard deviation is equal to the square root of the sum of the data number minus the mean squared all over the number of data items you have minus 1. So I know that sounds crazy, but we'll do this step by step. So to begin with, we will find the mean. For the mean, we will say that is equal to the sum of the data set divided by the number of the data set. So that is 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23 divided by the number that we have, which is 7. So that's 140 divided by 7, which will then give us 20. So to move on to the next step, I like to make a chart for this second part. So we'll start with the data item. And this will go on for a while. So we'll say 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Now this next part is the deviation, or we like to say x minus the mean. So we know that the mean is 20, so it will be 17 minus 20, 18 minus 20, 19 minus 20, and so on. Oops. And 23 minus 20. Okay. So now we will go ahead and say 17 minus 20, negative 3, 18 minus 20, negative 2, negative 1, 20 minus 20 is 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so then the next part of the chart is deviation squared, meaning x minus the mean squared. So we'll just take the number that we found in pink, so that represents the deviation, and then we're just going to square it. So negative 3 squared is 9, negative 2 squared is 4, negative 1 squared is 1, 0 squared, 0, 1 squared, 1, 2 squared, 4, and 3 squared, 9. Okay, so now we have deviation squared. And if we look back up to our equation real quick, we have done each part. The first part was to find the mean, which was right here. So we're kind of working out each time. The next step right here is this part. And then now we're squaring it. So now we're here. And the next part, obviously, is the sum of all of that. So we'll go back down here, and I just say, add all this up. So 9 plus 4 is 13, plus 1 is 14, plus 0 is still 14, plus 1, 15, plus 4, 19, and plus 9 is 28. So now we have the entire top part of that. So we just need to find the bottom part. So I'll put over here what we know. The square root of 28. And again, remember that n was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 minus 1. So we know that it's the square root of 28 divided by 6. And you'll plug that into your calculators, and the standard deviation of this data set is about 2.16. Okay, let's do one more example. So this time, let's use the numbers 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. Okay, so I'll write the equation up at the top again. The standard deviation is the square root of the sum of x minus the mean squared all over n minus 1. Okay, so again, we're going to work outward. So we need to find the mean. So our mean is all of these numbers added together. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35, all over n, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, divided by 7. So again, add those all up. It will give you 140 divided by 7, and that will give you a mean of 20. Okay, so now we'll make our chart. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. So this first part is the deviation, which is x minus the mean. So we have 5 minus 20, 10 minus 20, 15 minus 20, 20 minus 20, 25 minus 20, 30 minus 20, and 35 minus 20. So we will say 5 minus 20, negative 15, 10 minus 20, negative 10, 15 minus 20, negative 5, 20 minus 20, 0, 25 minus 20, 5, 30 minus 20, 10, 35 minus 20, 15. So our next part will be deviation squared, which is x minus the mean squared. Okay, so now we know what deviation was, so we just need to square each one. So now we will say negative 15 squared, and that will be 225. Negative 10 squared, 100. Negative 5 squared, 25. 0 squared, 0. 5 squared, 25. 10 squared, 100. And 15 squared, 225. So our next part of the equation is to add the sum of the deviation squared. So again, I just like to say, okay, add all of these numbers up. And when you add all those numbers together, you will get 700. So we'll go back up to our equation and we'll say standard deviation is equal to, so we know that the sum of x minus the mean squared is 700, and n minus 1 is 7 minus 1, which was 6, so it's going to be all over 6. And when you calculate that out, the square root of 700 divided by 6, and it will give you about 10.80. So to sum it up, it is much easier if you just make this chart, write your equation at the top. As long as you remember the equation, you can break it down into parts, because I understand that looking at the equation for standard deviation is very overwhelming. So when you break it down into these easy steps, it's basic math.